A woman carries a child for 10 months, endures the pain of childbirth, but doesn't even get a single glance at her baby before her husband tosses the infant into the river. This isn't some horror movie. It's the brutal reality women faced in that era. Today, in just 5 minutes, we'll dive into a heart-wrenching film and unpack the tragic story of Axiu. The story unfolds in a small village in the early 20th century, where the preference for boys over girls was taken to an extreme. Our heroine, Axiu, is given birth. The midwife presses a rolling pin against her belly. The pain so intense, she nearly dies, only stopping when the baby's cries fill the air. But her husband, Axiu, he doesn't even spare her a glance. His only question is, boy or girl? When he hears it's a girl, he sneers, picks up the child, and throws her into the river. When Axiu wakes and learns her daughter is gone, her heart feels like it's been slashed by a knife. She just wants to see her baby, even once a touch that becomes an unattainable luxury. She can only swallow her tears in silence. Back then, a woman's life was worth less than paper, and a daughter's life was worth even less. Axiu is consumed by guilt and pain, but life doesn't give her a moment to breathe. Her family is dirt poor, scraping by with their son, Changbao, always on the edge of starvation. Axiang, meanwhile, is a dreamer with a paper-thin fate, lazy, gambling away what little they have until even the rice jar is empty. Axiu watches Changbao grow gaunt with hunger, her heart aching so much she can't sleep. But Axiang, he's too busy gambling to care if his wife and child live or die. Just when they're on the brink of starvation, a matchmaker shows up at their door. With a sly grin, she tells Axiang, I've got a way for you to turn things around. Her proposal, a practice called wife leasing, renting Axiu out to a wealthy family to bear children in exchange for money. 20 how much? He asks. The matchmaker holds up 8 fingers, 80 silver dollars. In those days, that was enough to support a family for a year. Axiang agrees without a second thought. But Axiu overhears this as she returns home. Her vision goes dark and she collapses. When she comes to, she clings to Axiang, sobbing, begging not to go. Axiang's face hardens. If you don't go, barfs, he won't last a week. For her son, Axiu's heart tears apart, with tears streaming down her face. She agrees later. A sedan from the Lai mansion arrives at the village entrance. Axiu holds Changbao tightly, falling as she says, Mama will come back. Be good and listen to your father. Changbao wails, his cries breaking her heart, but the matchmaker hurries her along. Axiu boards the sedan, looking back with every step. The sedan sways through the village, over hills, carrying Axiu toward an unknown fate. The Li mansion is one of the wealthiest households in town. Master Li and his wife are sharp and capable, sitting comfortably as the town's richest family. But they have a problem: years of marriage and no children. Madame Li, ours as an empress, refuses to let her husband take a concubine, so wife Li Xing becomes their perfect solution. Axiu is beautiful and has already born a son, making her exactly what Madame Li wants. When Axiu arrives at the Lai mansion, Madame Li sizes her up, dressed in new clothes. Axiu exudes a gentle charm, catching even Madame Li's eye. But Madame Li's mind churns. This stunning woman, will she steal my husband's heart? Sure enough, Master Li's eyes lock onto Axiu the moment he sees her. That very night, a servant, Huang Ma, helps Axiu bathe, and Madame Li personally delivers new clothes. They say women are prone to jealousy, and Madame Li is no exception. She's envious of Axiu's beauty and her ability to bear children. The clothes are just an excuse. Her real purpose is to remind Axiu who's the lady of the house. Axiu, focused only on Changbao, doesn't pick up on Madame Li's veiled warnings. Worried Axiu isn't getting the message, Madame Li drops hints. Get pregnant soon and we'll all be spared the trouble. The words seem simple, but they're a stark reminder. You're just the one we paid for. Once the child is born, your job is done. Back in her room, Madame Li warns Master Li to finish his business and return to her bed. Master Li agrees on the surface, but inside, he's thrilled at the thought of staying in Axiu's room. Who could resist Axiu's youthful beauty compared to Madame Li? But when Master Li tries to touch Axiu, she instinctively pulls away. He knows she's not ready and that forcing her won't work, so he holds back. Days pass, and Axiu lives like a young lady of the house, with servants tending to her every need. Master Li visits her room nightly but never forces her. Instead, he recites poetry to her.
关关雎鸠，在河之洲。
Axiu doesn't understand the poems, but she begins to see how different he is from Axiang. One night, Master Li arrives drunk, or so it seems. Madame Li and the servants, unwilling to deal with him, send him to Axiu's room. It's exactly what he wanted. He's only pretending to be drunk to spend the night with her. Axiu finds the 50-year-old Master Li surprisingly witty and lets out a rare smile. Master Li, overjoyed, showers her with compliments about her beauty. That night, Axiu opens her heart. She's a leased wife, and Master Li has shown her kindness. So, she undresses and gives herself to him. The next morning, Master Li is radiant. Guan Guan, the ospreys cry on the islet in the river, as if he's 20 years younger. Madame Li, seething with jealousy, sat up all night and still so spry. Master Li, caught off guard, slinks away. Soon, Axiu is pregnant, becoming the Lai Manxing's precious gem. Master Li forbids her from touching cold water, and any who slacks off gets a tongue, La Shen. Even Madame Li sets aside her jealousy, ensuring Axiu is pampered with delicacies like sea cucumber and bird's nest. Even Huang Ma starts cozying up to Axiu, hoping that if she bears a son and becomes a second wife, she'll remember their sisterhood. For a few months, Axiu is cherished, living the happiest days of her life. But happiness is fleeting. 10 months pass in a blink, and Axiu delivers a son for Master Li. Master Li, over the moon, nearly faints with joy. He loves poetry but fumbles at naming the child, suggesting 科学字念福庆 or longevity. Axiu names him 曲幽包, meaning autumn treasure, for the season of his birth. On the day of 曲幽包's 1-month celebration, Axiu shows up, not to congratulate, but empty-handed, having squandered the 80 silver dollars. He claims Cheng and asks Axiu to come home. Master Li, knowing he's after money and that 曲幽包 needs his mother, gives him a few silver coins and sends him out the back door. As 曲幽包grows, Madame Li's attitude shifts. She stops Master Li from visiting Axiu and even intercepts a bowl of fish soup meant for her, shouting so Axiu can hear.
生个儿子还高贵起来了，什么腰酸呐、背疼啊，还惦着补身子了。我就不相信，以前在家里也这么娇贵吗？
Master Li still desires Axiu, but lacks the courage to defy his wife's glare. In truth, Axiu's purpose is fulfilled. Madame Li, jealous of her beauty, starts treating her coldly. To ensure Axiu never becomes a second wife, Madame Li hires a wet nurse to take 曲幽包 away. From then on, Axiu is treated like a servant assigned the dirtiest, most grueling tasks. Living under the same roof as her son, she's forbidden from touching him. When she finally gets a chance to hold 曲幽包, Madame Li catches her and unleashes a tirade.
你刚才对孩子说什么？啊？
我说我是秋宝的娘，太太，我是秋宝的亲娘啊！
大胆！秋宝的娘是我，我才是秋宝的娘呢。你是谁呀？你是我们李家花钱点来的。你什么都不是，你让秋宝叫你娘，你也配？
Feeling wronged, Axiu is comforted by Master Li, who offers her an ancestral bracelet as an apology. But Axiu doesn't want jewelry. She wants her son. Master Li makes empty promises, saying she can care for 曲幽包 after his first birthday. Yet, by custom, Axiu is supposed to leave the Li Manxing after 曲幽包turns 1. When she mentions returning home, Master Li's face darkens with anger.
你还舍不得你那个穷家？
不是，我是丢不下春宝啊！
我不管什么春宝不春宝，我只要你把秋宝带大成人。
Chu Bao's birthday arrives, and the town gathers to celebrate. Axiang shows up too, not to celebrate but to demand money, claiming Chang Bao is sick again. Axiu, frantic, prepares to ask Master Li for leave to go home, but Axiang says something utterly heartless.
你回去有什么用啊？我不是来接你回去，我是来找你要钱的。
钱？我哪里来什么钱啊？
Desperate to save her son, Axiu tries to sell the bracelet Master Li gave her. but Madame Li catches her. Recognizing the ancestral heirloom, Madame brings Axiu a thief. Axiu, sobbing, explains, Master Li gave it to me. I just want to save Changbao. Madame Li demands Master Li confront her. In the struggle, Axiu accidentally breaks the bracelet. This time, Master Li 称赞 her. No matter how well we treated you, you still cling to that wretched family. Fine, leave. But Madame Li objects. Axiu broke the bracelet and must work off the debt. Plus, the wife leasing contract was for 3 years. She hasn't served 2. From then on, Axiu wears rough servant clothes, lives in the servants' quarters, and toils through endless drooling tasks. One day, she finally sees Chu Youbao, now toddling. She tells him she's his real mother, but he doesn't recognize her. Madame Li overhears, berates her, and claims she's Chu Youbao's true mother. Fearing Chu Youbao might one day recognize Axiu, Madame Li expels her from the mansion. Axiu begs for one last look at Chu Youbao, but Xu Wangma mocks her. Didn't Master Li give you 2 coppers? 5 on the road. When Axiu finally returns home, no warmth awaits. Axiang scoffs. You came back without money. What's the point? Worse, Changbao doesn't recognize her, coldly asking, What are you doing here? Who are you looking for? Axiu grabs him, crying, I'm your mother. But Changbao runs off, indifferent. Since Axiu became a leased wife, village kids mock Changbao for having a sold mother, breeding resentment toward her. Watching her son flee, Axiu collapses, her cries echoing in the empty courtyard. She sacrificed everything for her husband and son, only to be met with betrayal and coldness. Who could bear such a fate? In that era, a woman's life was like a candle in the wind, flickering out at any moment. Do you think Axiu did anything wrong? What would you have chosen in her place? Mother in Slavery is a profoundly moving film that, through Axiu's story, exposes the tragic plight of women in old society. Using the custom of wife leasing as its lens, the film weaves together gender oppression, class exploitation, and human indifference into a suffocating portrait. Axiu is the soul of the story. Her resilience and maternal love are touching, yet her powerlessness is heartbreaking. The director's delicate cinematography captures her journey from hope to despair, her reluctance as she boards the Xidian, her anticipation during pregnancy, her collapse when expelled. Each scene pierces the viewer's heart. Axiang's greed, Madame Li's jealousy, and Master Li's hypocrisy form the cage that traps Axiu, reflecting the universal fate of women in that era. This film isn't just emotionally raw. It digs deep into social issues. Wife leasing wasn't just Axiu's tragedy, it was an indictment of feudal traditions and patriarchal society. Axiu's struggle represents countless winless women fighting to survive in the cracks of family and society. Her final isolation reveals the total collapse of a woman stripped of economic and emotional support. From today's perspective, this film reminds us to cherish progress in gender equality while reflecting on human selfishness and apathy. Axiu's story may be history, but her longing for dignity and love still resonates deeply.